What if the entire universe was waiting on you? What if your beliefs, your assumptions, your imagination wasn't just influencing reality, it was creating it? Not metaphorically, literally. This is from the book The Divine Matrix by Gregg Braden. You can get the book from the top of the description. This video is for educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Always consult a healthcare professional. Stay with me until the end, and you'll understand how this one idea, participating in the universe, can be used to change your health, relationships, and even save a life. Because by the end, I'm going to tell you a story of a man Neville Goddard helped to heal, without touching him, without medication, just imagination and belief. What does it mean to participate in the universe? Physicist John Wheeler said, "We don't just observe the universe, we participate in its creation." In his view, we're not just passive spectators, we are both catalysts of events and experiencers of those events simultaneously. He called this a participatory universe, one where you and I are part of the equation. Wheeler's theory opens the door to a radical idea. If consciousness creates, then the universe itself might be a result of its awareness. And Max Planck, one of the fathers of quantum theory, said, "All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind." So what mind? What if it's ours, or at least part of a greater mind? In a participatory universe, every time we focus our awareness, every time we look, examine, expect, something responds. Our consciousness makes something for us to observe. We're not separate from the world we study. We help bring it into being. This means the act of focusing your consciousness is an act of creation. You are not a bystander. You are a co-creator. As a man thinketh, so is he. So if we are co-creators of reality, how do we harness that power? Neville Goddard had the answer, and he proved it. Neville Goddard's interpretation of this principle. Neville believed that everything in your life is a reflection of your state of consciousness. Whatever shows up, good or bad, is the result of the assumptions you hold deep within. He once said, "Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness." In other words, you don't change the world by fighting with it. You change yourself. You imagine differently. You feel differently. You begin to live from a new assumption, and reality shifts in response. For Neville, this wasn't just a theory. He lived this truth. He applied this to his own life and the lives of those around him. And the story I'm about to share with you proves just how powerful this is. Because what happens when you actually apply this? Let me show you. Neville Goddard helping heal a fatal illness. A young man in his 20s was dying. He had a rare heart condition the doctors said was incurable. He had wasted away to just skin and bones, and he was too weak to even speak. All he could do was nod. Neville visited him, and he didn't pray, he didn't offer him comfort, he just shared with him the power of his beliefs, and then he gave him a new assumption. In a single sentence, Neville explains how he provided the words that would help his new friend accomplish his new way of thinking. I suggested that in imagination he see the doctor's face expressing incredulous amazement in finding him recovered, contrary to all reason, from the last stages of an incurable disease. That he see him double-checking in his examination and hear him saying over and over, "It's a miracle, it's a miracle." So not trying to get better, not hoping to be healed, but living from the feeling that he already was. Months later, Neville received a letter. The man had made a full recovery. Neville later met with him and found that he was enjoying his family and his life in perfect health. The secret the man revealed was that rather than simply wishing for his health, since the day of their meeting, he had lived from the assumption of already being well and healed. And herein we find the secret of propelling our heart's desires from the state of imagination to the reality of our everyday lives. It's our ability to feel as if our dreams have already come to life, our wishes are fulfilled, and our prayers already answered. In this way, we actively share in what Wheeler called our participatory universe. Sounds impossible, right? But this same principle shows up in other areas too, even in martial arts. The martial arts connection. In the ancient practice of martial arts, we see a powerful metaphor for how consciousness shapes reality. You've probably seen demonstrations where martial artists break concrete blocks or perform seemingly impossible feats. The secret? It's not about brute force, it's about focus. When martial artists break a board or a block, the very last thing on their mind is the point of impact. Instead, they centre their awareness beyond the block. Just as Neville suggested in his instruction to the dying man, the key is to put our focus in the place of the completed act, the healing already accomplished, or the brick already broken. Martial artists do this by centering their awareness on a point that's beyond the bottom of the block. The only way their hand can be in this place is if they've already passed through the space between them and that point. The fact that the space happens to be occupied by something solid, such as a concrete block, becomes almost secondary. In this way, they're thinking from the point of completion rather than about the difficulty of getting to there. They're experiencing the joy of what it feels like to accomplish the act, as opposed to all the things that must occur before they can be successful. This simple example offers a powerful analogy for precisely the way consciousness seems to work. This same principle can be applied to anything, even in seemingly impossible situations, like a martial artist's ability to remain immovable. The martial arts instructor who couldn't be moved. This story comes from the author himself, something he personally witnessed as a young man practicing in martial arts. One day, in the dojo, their instructor said he wanted to try something different. He explained he would seat himself in the centre of the thick mat where they all honed their skills. He'd close his eyes and go into a deep meditation. During this exercise, he would stretch his arms out on either side of his body, with his palms open and face down. He asked us to give him a couple of minutes to anchor himself in this T position, and then invited us to do anything we could to move him from his place. At first, just a few students tried, then more joined. Eventually, the whole class. Pushing, pulling, lifting, doing everything they could. Nothing worked. He wasn't moved, even an inch. When the instructor finally opened his eyes, he smiled and explained what had happened. When I closed my eyes, he said, I had a vision that was like a dream, and that dream became my reality. I pictured two mountains, one on either side of my body, and myself on the ground between the peaks. Attached to each of my arms, he continued, I saw a chain that bound me to the top of each mountain. As long as the chains were there, I was connected to the mountains in a way that nothing could change. Not even a classroom full of my best students could change my dream. The secret here is that our instructor was experiencing himself from the perspective that he was already fixed in one place on that mat. In those moments, he was living from the outcome of his meditation. Until he chose to break the chains in his imagination, nothing could move him. And that's precisely what we found out. In Neville's words, make your future dream a present fact. That day, I experienced firsthand how the power of focusing imagination can override the physical world. If one man's vision could override physical reality, what could yours do? So here's the truth. You're not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. You are a participant in the universe. And if you choose to imagine wellness, strength, peace, love, the world will begin to reflect it back. Just like Neville said, dare to believe in the reality of your assumption and watch the world play its part relative to its fulfillment. So what are you imagining today? Let the comments be your messages to the universe. If you want to buy the book, then the link is top of the description. If you learned something new, please like and subscribe to keep learning. If you know anyone that's interested in this kind of content, then please share this to them, as it really helps me out. If you want to watch any of my other videos in this book, then their playlist will be on screen now. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. And remember, stay positive even when it seems everything is against you.